Late October 2024. Five college friends decided to take one final road trip together before life pulled them in different directions. Their names were Ethan Carter, Mason Brooks, Olivia Hayes, Chloe Bennett, and Ryan Mitchell. They rented a black Chevrolet Tahoe in Salt Lake City, Utah, planning to drive south through Utah and Arizona before ending their trip at the Grand Canyon. The first 2 days were unforgettable. They explored abandoned gas stations, hiked through Red Rock canyons, watched breathtaking sunsets, and filled their phones with hundreds of photos. Everything felt perfect. On the third night, however, they made a decision they would all regret. Instead of stopping at a motel, Ryan suggested they continue driving through the night. "It'll save us a whole day tomorrow," he said. Everyone agreed. Around 10:45 p.m., they entered U.S. Highway 191, one of the loneliest highways in the American Southwest. The road stretched endlessly through dark mountains and empty desert. No towns, no gas stations, no headlights except their own. Their phones had already lost service nearly 30 minutes earlier. Even the GPS signal kept flickering. Inside the SUV, music filled the silence as they joked about college memories. Then, at exactly 11:18 p.m., Ethan suddenly slowed the vehicle. On the right side of the highway stood an old wooden sign. Its faded white letters read, "Last Exit, Black Ridge Road." Someone had painted another message underneath in fresh red paint. "Don't drive after midnight," Ryan laughed. "Looks like someone wants to scare tourists." Mason pulled out his phone and snapped a picture through the passenger window. The SUV continued down the empty highway. No one thought much about it. 5 minutes later, Olivia looked out her window and froze. "There it is again?" Everyone turned. The exact same wooden sign stood beside the road. Same cracked post, same peeling paint. Same warning. "Last Exit, Black Ridge Road, don't drive after midnight." Ryan frowned. "Wait, didn't we already pass that?" "There weren't any intersections," Ethan replied quietly. "We've been driving straight." An uncomfortable silence filled the vehicle. Mason checked the GPS. Instead of showing their route, the screen displayed only one word: recalculating. Then, the only sound was the steady hum of the engine. No passing cars, no distant lights, nothing. About 15 minutes later, something appeared in the headlights. A man, standing perfectly still on the shoulder of the road. He wore what looked like an old highway maintenance uniform covered in dust. His head was lowered. His face couldn't be seen. As Ethan slowed down, the man slowly lifted one arm, not waving, pointing, toward a narrow dirt road disappearing into the darkness. Above the entrance stood another wooden sign, Black Ridge Road. Without saying a word, Ethan pressed the accelerator and drove past him. No one wanted to stop. Ryan turned around through the rear window. "Guys." "What?" "The man. He's gone." Everyone looked back. The road behind them was completely empty. There was nowhere he could have gone. No trees, no rocks, no buildings, just open desert. Chloe whispered, "Did we all just imagine him?" No one answered. 20 minutes later, Ethan finally sighed with relief. "I think we're almost out." Then Olivia quietly pointed through the windshield. Her voice barely escaped. "Ethan." He looked up. His hands tightened around the steering wheel. Standing beside the highway was the same wooden sign, for the third time. Last Exit, Black Ridge Road. This time, there was something new written beneath the warning, something that definitely hadn't been there before. You should have turned back. No one spoke. The SUV rolled past the sign in complete silence, its headlights illuminating the blood-red words for only a second, before they disappeared into the darkness. "You should have turned back." Ryan was the first to break the silence. "Okay, that's not funny anymore." Ethan gripped the steering wheel tighter. "I've been driving straight this whole time. There are no U-turns, no loops. So how are we seeing the same sign over and over?" No one had an answer. A few miles later, the fuel gauge suddenly dropped. Half a tank, quarter tank, then almost empty. "That's impossible," Mason said. "We filled the tank before entering this highway." Ryan looked at the dashboard. "It can't burn that much fuel in 30 minutes. Before anyone could say another word, the radio switched on by itself. Loud static exploded through the speakers. Everyone jumped. Ethan quickly reached for the power button. It wouldn't turn off. The static continued. Then, a voice, weak, distorted. "Leave." The 5 friends looked at each other. Another burst of static. "Don't stop." Then silence. The radio shut itself off. No one touched it. A cold feeling settled inside the SUV. The outside temperature on the dashboard had fallen from 48 degrees Fahrenheit to 26 degrees Fahrenheit in less than 5 minutes. "That can't be right," Chloe whispered. "It's October, not winter." As she spoke, her breath became visible inside the vehicle. The heater was still running, yet the air kept getting colder. 20 minutes later, the SUV's headlights revealed an abandoned gas station sitting alone beside the highway. Its faded sign still read, "Black Ridge Service." The building looked like it hadn't been used in decades. Broken windows, rusted fuel pumps, a collapsed roof. Ryan immediately said, "We have to stop." "We're almost out of gas." Ethan hesitated. "I don't like this place. But we don't have a choice." He slowly pulled into the cracked parking lot. The moment the engine stopped, everything became unnaturally quiet. No wind, no insects, not even the sound of the engine cooling down. It was as if the entire world had gone silent. "I'll check if anyone's here." "I'll come with you," Ryan said. The two walked toward the old building while Ethan, Olivia, and Chloe stayed inside the SUV. The flashlight beams disappeared through the broken doorway. 5 minutes passed. Nothing. 10 minutes. Still nothing. Ryan and Mason hadn't returned. Chloe looked nervously at Ethan. Shouldn't they be back by now? Before Ethan could answer, the flashlight beam appeared again inside the building. Someone was walking toward the entrance. It was Mason, alone. He looked pale. His breathing was heavy. Ethan stepped out. "Where's Ryan?" Mason stared at him. "I thought he came back with me." Everyone froze. "What do you mean?" "He was right behind me. I turned around for 1 second, and he was gone." The 4 friends searched the gas station for nearly 20 minutes. They shouted Ryan's name over and over. Only echoes answered. Then Olivia noticed something strange. Behind the station stood an old payphone. Unlike everything else, it looked brand new. Its light was glowing. Suddenly, the phone began to ring. Once, twice, 3 times. No one moved. The ringing echoed across the empty desert. Finally, Chloe slowly picked up the receiver. She didn't say a word. Neither did the person on the other end. For several seconds, there was only breathing. Then a calm male voice whispered, "You're too late." Click. The line went dead. Terrified, the group ran back to the SUV. Ethan turned the key. Nothing. The engine wouldn't start. He tried again. Nothing. Then, without warning, every headlight on the SUV switched on by itself. The horn blasted continuously. The windshield wipers started moving even though the glass was dry. The dashboard screen flickered. A map appeared. Not a GPS map, a hand-drawn map. It showed only one road, one destination, a place marked with a black circle. Underneath were 2 words: Black Ridge. Then, every light inside the SUV went out. Darkness swallowed them. A slow crunching sound came from behind the vehicle. Footsteps, not one pair, several, moving slowly across the gravel. Olivia whispered without turning around, "Please tell me that's an animal." No one answered. The footsteps stopped. Then came 3 slow knocks on the rear window. Ethan looked into the rearview mirror. There was no one there. But on the fogged rear glass, words were slowly appearing, as if someone invisible was writing with a finger. "You left him behind." The words on the rear window faded as quickly as they had appeared. "You left him behind." No one dared to look outside. Ethan took a deep breath and turned the key one last time. To everyone's surprise, the engine started. Without saying a word, he slammed the accelerator. The SUV shot out of the abandoned gas station, leaving the darkness behind. Or so they thought. For nearly 30 minutes, they drove in complete silence. No music, no conversation, only the sound of the tires rolling over the empty highway. Then Mason looked at the dashboard clock. "Guys, it hasn't moved." Everyone looked. The clock still read 12:07 a.m. It had been showing the same time since they left the gas station. Olivia checked her phone. 12:07. Chloe checked hers. 12:07. Even Ethan's wristwatch had stopped. Time itself seemed frozen. Suddenly, the road ended. Not at a cliff, not at a dead end. It simply disappeared into a thick wall of black fog. Ethan hit the brakes. The SUV stopped just inches from the darkness. The fog wasn't moving. It stood perfectly still, like a solid wall. There was only one road leading around it. A narrow dirt road. A weathered wooden sign stood beside it. Black Ridge below it was another message. "One may leave." "No," Ryan's voice whispered. Everyone froze. The voice had come from outside. "Ryan," Olivia cried. His voice came again. "I'm over here." It sounded weak, desperate, coming from somewhere inside the fog. Mason immediately opened the door. Ethan grabbed his arm. "No! What if it's really him? What if he's alive?" Before anyone could stop him, Mason ran into the darkness. "Mason!" His flashlight disappeared inside the fog. Then, silence. 10 seconds, 20, 30, suddenly. A scream echoed through the night. It was Mason. The scream ended abruptly, then nothing. Panic exploded inside the SUV. Chloe was crying. Olivia couldn't stop shaking. Ethan made a decision. "We're leaving. We can't help them." The words broke his heart, but staying meant dying. He turned the SUV onto Black Ridge Road. The dirt road twisted through the mountains for what felt like hours. Then, lights appeared. A real highway, street signs, passing trucks. Cell phone signal returned. Everything looked normal. It was 5:42 a.m. The nightmare was finally over. The police launched a massive search. Helicopters, search dogs, drones, hundreds of volunteers. They searched Highway 191 for 6 days. They found Ethan's tire tracks. They found the abandoned gas station. But there was one problem. The gas station had burned down in 1989. Nothing remained except its concrete foundation. There was no building, no payphone, no fuel pumps, just empty ruins. The officers assumed Ethan was suffering from trauma until they reviewed the SUV's dash cam. The recording showed hours of empty highway. No abandoned gas station, no warning signs, no man beside the road, just darkness. Then, exactly at 12:07 a.m., the video froze. The screen turned black for 4 hours. When the image finally returned, the SUV was already driving onto the main highway at sunrise. No one could explain where it had been. Ryan Mitchell and Mason Brooks were never found. Months later, Ethan refused every interview. Olivia moved to another state. Chloe never spoke publicly about that night again. The case slowly faded from the news. Nearly a year later, a truck driver called 911 after spotting an abandoned flashlight lying beside Highway 191. Police recovered it. The batteries were dead, but the flashlight had Mason Brooks's initials engraved on the side. When investigators examined it closely, they discovered something scratched into the metal. 3 words: "Don't take exit." The scratch marks were fresh, as if they had been carved only hours earlier. Today, drivers traveling along lonely stretches of Highway 191 still claim that after midnight they sometimes see a weathered wooden sign that doesn't appear on any map. It reads, "Last Exit, Black Ridge Road." Most people drive past it without thinking, but those who decide to follow the dirt road are never seen again.